everyone, and welcome to Decade Dispatch News, your trusted news source for everything happening in America. It's 1919, and I've got to say, it's been quite the eventful decade. We've had some great highs, but also some deep lows.
I gotta agree with you on that one, Neil. The decade has seen it all with technological innovation, war, and cultural shifts that have changed society and the war forever. Throughout this special broadcast, we're going to dive back into what happened in the past 10 years and see how our country and society has changed as a whole. We will hear from eyewitnesses and see on-site locations from the decade.
Sit back with us and let's take a deep dive into what has happened in the past decade. A decade that has challenged us and changed us and shaped America into what it is today. We will start with the domestic events of the 1910s. Let's start with a tragic and heartbreaking story that shocked the nation. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire on March 25th, 1911. For those who have not heard of this event, it was an absolutely heartbreaking fire at a clothing factory in New York City, right in the heart of Manhattan. The factory was packed with young workers, mostly immigrant women and teenage girls, sewing shirts in these cramped and stuffy rooms. When the fire broke out, it spread extremely quickly and they could not get out. The doors were locked, the fire escapes did not work, and some of the girls were forced to jump out of the windows to escape the flames. By the end, 146 people died. It was horrifying. People were furious and rightfully so. Here we have two pictures of the tragedy. As you can see, the inside of the building was completely wrecked, and it left in rubble. Everything was destroyed. We could see the firemen desperately trying to put out the fire and the furious flames, but ultimately they were unable to save everyone due to the flaws in the workplace safety. I could never imagine what it was like for these workers to endure such an event by just looking at these pictures. The factory owners, Max Blank and Isaac Harris, had been warned about these safety issues, but they did not fix them. They both were eventually found liable in a wrongful death suit and ordered to pay $75 per victim to the families, but the fire sparked something bigger. It led to new fire codes, labor laws, and real conversations about workers' rights. It was a terrible tragedy, but one that made people wake up and start demanding better treatment for the working class. Now, switching gears a bit, let's talk about a huge moment for justice and equality. In June of 1919, Congress passed the 19th Amendment, which says that no one can be denied the right to vote based on their sex. For decades, women were expected to stay silent on political matters. Specifically, women could not vote, could not own property, and could not have much legal protection. However, women's suffrage is one step away from becoming the law of the land. This moment has been a long time coming. The amendment was first introduced way back in 1878 by Senator Aaron Sargent, but it's taken over 40 years of organizing, protesting, and marching to get this far. Think about the women who fought for this. Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Alice Ball, and so many others. Most of them were arrested, insulted, and told to go home, but they didn't. All of these women had a shared vision of getting equality and suffrage, and their efforts paid off. Now it is up to the states to ratify the amendment, but this is the closest it has ever been. This is revolutionary considering women have not had a say in politics for a long time since. If everything goes through, women could be voting in the next election, and that's going to be a change in American politics forever. Last but not least, let's talk about some money. In 1913, President Woodrow Wilson signed something called the Federal Reserve Act, which created the central banking system for the United States. This was a vital role in enhancing America's money management. Before this, the U.S. had no real safety net for banks, so when something like the Panic of 1907 happened, when banks failed and people lost everything, there was nothing the government could do to stop it. Now, with the Federal Reserve, there are 12 regional banks spread out across the country, plus a central board in Washington, D.C. This central board is called the Board of Governors, and they help manage interest rates, stabilize the economy, and keep money flowing when the things get rough. The Federal Reserve now allows banks to borrow from each other as well as from the Federal Reserve to help ensure that they do not collapse. In the picture, we can see the first Board of Governors. Their positions were the Secretary of the Treasury, the Comptroller of the Currency, and the 5 other members that were appointed by the President. So far, the Federal Reserve has given the United States more control over the financial system and provided great help during World War I with the issuance of bonds and securities. It is a huge shift in how America handles finances and is already making a difference. Some people say it gives the government too much control, while others say it's the greatest thing that we've ever done to protect regular Americans from financial disaster. Either way, it's here to stay. So, this decade has been no joke. We've been seeing working class women stand up for their safety, suffragists demand their right to vote, and lawmakers create new systems to protect our money and our future.
These events have definitely changed the landscape of the American home front. However, the home front is not the only thing that changed during this decade, as the foreign scene saw a lot of action. The decade saw the U.S. transition from isolation to involvement in the global stage. We now have Adam with a segment on foreign events during the decade. Adam, take it away.
Thank you, Caden. The Great War was one that changed the lives of many across Europe. It all started when the Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated by a man named Gavrilo Princip. He was a member of the Black Hand, a Serbian terrorist group. By this point, tensions had boiled over and war had begun. The German-backed Austrian side declared war on the Russian-backed Serbian side. This led to the creation of the Allied and Central Powers. The Central Powers consisted of Germany, the Austrian-Hungary Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. The Allied powers consisted of France, Great Britain, Russia, and eventually the United States. Tensions had been rising across Europe since 1914, but the United States held to a policy of neutrality, at least at first. Woodrow Wilson reinforced his isolationist and peaceful foreign policy, claiming that getting involved in this war would not benefit America or his citizens. Wilson also believed that joining this war would hinder progressive reforms. That changed by 1917. Germany's consistent use of the unrestricted submarine warfare, including the sinking of the Lusitania, led to growing public outrage. The final straw came with the Zimmermann Telegram, in which Germany encouraged Mexico to join the war against the U.S. The U.S. responded. In April 1917, Congress declared war on Germany, entering the conflict on the side of the Allies. American troops, over 2 million of them, were deployed to Europe, playing a critical role in turning the tide. After America joined the war came to a close 19 months later. Here we can see an image of a trench overseas. The conditions of the war were brutal and rough. As seen in the picture, soldiers had to fight in these cramped and nasty locations. We also have a clip of what it was really like to fight on the war front.
No! No, 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 no!
As you can see, warfare, especially trench warfare, was deadly and brutal. We thank the soldiers for their bravery and sacrifice for our country and democracy. We will now show an interview that I did with a soldier at Princeton University. Princeton played a pivotal role in the war, serving as a training school for soldiers. It included flying school as well as basic training and tactical classes. Here we have Tom Jones, a United States military veteran who both trained here at Princeton as well as fought overseas. Tom, what was it like?
I was a part of the American Expeditionary Force, and I trained here at Princeton for 6 months. After I was done with my training, I went overseas.
Could you tell us more about what it was like in active combat?
Yeah, it was nothing short of brutal. The trenches were cramped, filled with disease. There was torrential downpour and terrible weather constantly. There was mud that caused my rifle to jam and put me in some pretty bad predicaments a couple of times. And I had to sit there and watch my brothers die by my side, and I honor them every day. And I hope to God that we never go to war again.
Me too. Thank you, Tom, for your service. All of America thanks you for preserving peace in the world. The war ended with an armistice in November 1918. Though brief, America's involvement marked a major shift in foreign policy, away from neutrality and toward international engagement. At home, the 1910s started with turmoil just south of the border, the Mexican Revolution. This decade-long conflict plunged Mexico into chaos and affected the U.S. both economically and diplomatically. As different factions vied for control, tensions escalated between Mexico and its powerful northern neighbor. One of the most infamous moments of the U.S.-Mexican relations came in 1916 when revolutionary leader Pancho Villa got fed up with American support for his rivals and led a daring raid on the town of Columbus, New Mexico. His forces killed several Americans, looted the town, and set buildings on fire before returning back into Mexico. The attack sent shockwaves through the U.S. government and public and prompted immediate retaliation. In response, President Woodrow Wilson sent General John J. Pershing to Mexico with one mission: capture Villa and stop the cross-border raids. Pershing's forces, thousands of men, scoured the Mexican countryside for months, battling through tough terrain and resistance from both Villa's forces and the Mexican government's forces, who wouldn't tolerate U.S. military on their soil. Despite their efforts, Pershing's expedition failed to capture Villa, and the operation ended in a diplomatic mess. The excursion strains U.S.-Mexican relations, with the Mexican government viewing it as a violation of their sovereignty. Though tensions remained high, the focus soon shifted as the U.S. prepared for another major global conflict, World War I, where Pershing would command American forces on an even bigger stage. A segment features a mock historian talking about how this showed America was willing to use military force to protect its interest in the Western Hemisphere, a trend that would continue in years to come. Now let's talk about one of the coolest engineering projects of the 1910s, the Panama Canal. Imagine cutting a path through the jungles of Panama, fighting disease, floods, and political negotiations to connect two oceans. Well, in 1914, after years of hard work, that vision became a reality. The Panama Canal was a game changer. Ships could bypass the long and treacherous journey around South America, and trade and military movement would be way more efficient. But it wasn't just about convenience. It was a big flex of American power. The U.S. had backed Panama's independence from Colombia to get control of the project, proving that engineering and diplomacy go hand in hand. To really get a feel for this, we have footage of ships going through the locks alongside historic photos of the construction. Massive earth-moving equipment, workers braving extreme conditions, and the sheer scale of this amazing feat. So next time you see a cargo ship going through the canal, just remember, it's not just a waterway, it's a symbol of American ambition, ingenuity, and global influence.
Thank you, Adam. The foreign scene was definitely a big part of this decade, with one of the biggest and deadliest wars in history, revolution, and projects to advance trade. All of this contributed to a change in American foreign policy, and their effects are going to be seen for a long time. Another aspect that also changed greatly was culture. Caden has more on that. Caden, take it away.
Thank you, Neil. The rise of Hollywood in the Western Hemisphere is shaping American values, ideals, and its influence extends beyond the movie theater. It reflects the influence of societal norms, from the expansion of westward to social issues like women's suffrage, and provides an opportunity to escape the harsh reality of war by creating iconic characters and imagery, as well as the opportunity for women to obtain jobs. Hollywood has begun to mirror American society, reflecting its values, aspirations, and fears like social mobility, traditional morality, and extreme patriotism and nationalism identity during the Great War. The industry is also driving cultural trends, with movie sound systems and celebrity styles influencing popular music and fashion, which I'll expand on later. People like Charlie Chaplin and Mary Pickford, two leading stars in the industry, are fascinating audiences with their movie characters and inspiring people across the country, and recently, both of them have become co-founders of the United Artists, a film production company in 1919. However, Hollywood's impact has been argued about, with concerns across the country about racial representation, gender imbalance, and poor moral behaviors. Despite these challenges, Hollywood's influence on American culture remains important, molding the perceptions of the world around us, and the film industry continues to grow. I think it's clear that Hollywood's impact will continue to reflect American societal norms and ideals. Up next, we have the unbelievable sports story with David. But first, we go to commercials.
I can't find anything to eat. Everything tastes so bland and the same nowadays. I wish there was something better to eat than all this junk. Whoa!
Did you say that you need a new snack to taste? Well, don't you worry, because I have a new snack that you don't want to miss out on. The new Oreos, made from the same brand, Nabisco, that brought you Burnham's Animal Crackers and Fig Newtons. With 2 chocolate wafers on the side and a vanilla cream filling. Do you want to try them?
I would love to.
How's it taste, Adam?
They are delicious. These new cookies are always going to be in my house. I'm going to keep them at the top of my pantry so my kids can't take them.
That's a good idea, Adam, because that's what you gotta do when you're eating
America's favorite
cookie.
Boiling this water takes so long, and grinding these beans takes forever. I wish there was a way to make coffee in an instant. Say that again? I wish there was a way to make coffee in an instant.
You haven't heard of Washington Instant Coffee? Boy, you're in for a treat. This coffee is unlike anything you've ever tasted before. It is quick and easy to make in just 3 simple steps. First, heat some water and bring it to a boil. Next, pour the water into a cup and mix the powder in. Lastly, stir the powder until it has dissolved and your coffee is ready to drink. Here, have a taste.
Wow, this is fantastic. I wish I had this before. It's sweet and delicious.
Well, you have it now, and everyone should get a taste of Washington's instant coffee. Today, from the entire Anchor, we congratulate the Cincinnati Reds for becoming the world champions of baseball after defeating the Chicago White Sox 10-5. This marks the first time the Reds have ever won a championship and will be a series remembered for years to come. In this game, the Reds pitcher Hod Eller got the win with 9 innings pitched, 6 Ks, 5 runs with 4 of them earned. On the opposing end, Lefty Williams got the loss with 4 earned runs in the first, recording 1 out, moving his overall record to 0-3. Sox star Joe Jackson went 2 for 5 with a home run and 3 RBIs, but his efforts were not enough. What is especially surprising about this series is that the Sox were heavy favorites coming into this matchup, and most people expected the Sox to win rather easily. A key to this might have been disappointing performances from 8 key players like Lefty Williams, Buck Weaver, and Chick Gando. Overall, sloppy play from the Sox hurt them the most in this series. We will showcase this in the footage from Game 1.
Come on, guys, it should have been 2. One out. What are you doing? You had him!
This series was a major blunder by the Sox and will haunt them for years to come. Now they have to watch as the Reds celebrate. Let's go to Komsky Park to meet with one of the players. Here we are at Komsky Park. We have Ed Roush from the Reds, who went 3 for 5 with 2 doubles, a hit, and 3 RBIs. A key player in today's victory. How are you feeling, Ed?
I'm feeling pretty good, David. You know, it's just a great team win today, I gotta say.
You really got to the White Sox pitching staff. Any opinions on that?
Yeah, I think I, just stepped up to the plate, saw a couple more strikes down the middle, and I just seized the opportunity.
All right, great. Any concluding statements?
Nope, just gotta thank my coaching staff, all my fellow players out here, and all the fans out there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ed. And back to you, Neil.
Thank you, David, and a huge congrats to the Reds for winning the World Series. This decade was also filled with a bunch of new trends, and one of them being fashion. Fashion has changed greatly, and Kaden has a lot more on this.
That's right, Neil. Now let's take a deeper dive in the fashion aspect of the decade that I mentioned before. Paul Pierret, who is a famous French fashion designer, is playing an important role in popularizing looser, more comfortable clothing. As men go off to fight in the Great War, women have been entering the workforce more and more frequently, resulting in a need for more practical and comfortable clothing for industrial workplaces. Pierret's designs are helping to separate from corsets and pave the way for future designers, featuring tunics, smocks, and caftans, which are being shown on the screen. Pierret's influence is extending beyond the world of fashion, reflecting the cultural and economic shifts of our time. With his use of exotic colors and patterns, a new level of fashion creativity has been implemented into the world of women's fashion. The forward thinking of high fashion clothes being designed to be worn and not just admired, along with his emphasis on comfort and freedom of movement, is helping to free women from the restrictive clothing and portray a change in fashion and lifestyles. The impact of Pierret's designs have been seen mainly in Paris and New York, the most prominent fashion locations in the world, and with suffrage movement gaining momentum, women's fashion is conveying a growing desire for equality and freedom. Pierret's designs are the near front of this movement, and I think his influence will likely be felt for years to come. Well, Neil, I gotta say fashion is changing pretty fast today, and I can't imagine it getting any crazier.
That's right, Kaden. Only crazy people and hillbillies wear anything less than a full suit all the time. All right, transitioning from the fashion segment, we've got some music next. Music has evolved greatly during this decade. David has an interesting segment on the rise of jazz. Take it over, David.
Thanks, Neil. The original Dixieland Jazz Band was integral in the evolving of music that began in the 1910s and elevated in the 1920s. The band was formed in 1916, including the members of Nick LaRocca, Eddie Edwards, Larry Shields, Henry Ragas, and Tony Sabaro. Originally under Dixie jazz band One Step, the group began their upbringing in New Orleans, where the New Orleans music traditions of ragtime, blues, and gospel music influenced their music. While growing up in New Orleans, they became famous after their live shows in Chicago. Nick Loco leads the band and was crucial in releasing their first song, Lively Stable Blues, a fully instrumental piece consisting of piano, drums, cornet, clarinet, and trombone. This is a jazz composition copyrighted by Ray Lopez and Alcide Nunez. This song is considered to be the first of many jazz songs that have become a staple in the music industry while also spreading the jazz genre to many audiences. Jazz as a genre is defined as synchronized and forceful rhythm, and the original Dixieland Jazz Band perfectly showcases that definition. To end on a high note, we have a fun story about a new amusement park in America. To end, in 1912, Luna Park in Charleston, West Virginia, opened to the public and has been a beloved location by its visitors. This park was engineered by Frederick Ingersoll, who has been popularizing his chains of Luna Parks across America. The park features a wooden roller coaster that excites visitors with its sharp turns and drops, a roller rink that is perfect for all skill levels of skaters, a charming merry-go-round, and even a refreshing swimming pool. Luna Park provides many forms of entertainment and is worth the trip when you go. It quickly became a favorite, drawing in crowds from Charleston and surrounding areas who were excited to enjoy a day of amusement, music, and relaxation. Admission to the park is 15 cents per person, a great deal for all family and friends to have fun. It is a really great place to bring your family and friends together and have a great time, whether you're looking for a fun and intense day or simply want to relax. Luna Park is a destination that is well worth the trip and will create memories that will last forever. That is all I have for this decade's good story. Back to you, Caden and Neil.
Wow, this decade has been full of a variety of events. War, a changing economic structure, and cultural trends that have all shaped America into the country that it is today.
Neil, I couldn't agree with you more. We've always been seeing some great sports feats as well as a shift in fashion. All these contribute to the American identity and what we're seeing come on alive right now.
Definitely. Well, I gotta say, it's been a wild ride, and the anchor thanks everyone for tuning into this special segment reflecting back on the 1910s tonight.
Thank you everyone, and have a great night.